隊長は結構な人気面だぞ。
7月はこれ絶対盗撮ですよね。
Hi, welcome back to whatever this is. My name is Kaysa. I'm online, and today I'm going to be talking about Fire Force. Now, to preface this, I just want to complain a tiny teensy little bit, but I won't go too long. I've had a very long week last week, and I missed uploading last Sunday. Long story short, my PC was in pieces. I tried to upgrade it, and what that turned out to be is a just terrible situation of having to wait for my PC to be fixed, buying more pieces, all the fun things because the other pieces wouldn't work and blah 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 blah. So I will be including my GoFundMe below, as always, as you know, to reimburse me for all of the things that I had to pay for to get my PC back up and running. And it wasn't like it was just glitched or this application wouldn't work. It straight up would not get into anything at all besides BIOS, pretty much. So if you know, you know, that's how bad it was. But back to talking about the actual topic, which is Fire Force. So Fire Force is an anime where the setting takes place in an alternate version of Japan. In this world, there are people with abilities relating to fire. Those abilities have different complexities depending on what generation you are and the way the abilities express themselves. In this same world, there is a huge issue with spontaneous combustion, as you know, and the spontaneous combustion of an individual turns them into something called an infernal. On rare occasions, it can also turn someone into a demon. A major structure in the society is dealing with fires and infernals. People with fire-related abilities enter the Fire Force, oftentimes to help deal with that. The society is also highly religious, so they don't kill infernals, or at least they don't try to frame it that way. They just put them to rest. Laton. It's a great anime that explores the mysteries of not just the society, but the protagonist, Shinra. Without spoiling anything, Shinra is connected to the mystery behind the spontaneous combustion as well as the overall faith of the society. And this is something that we are, as a watcher, going to explore with the characters in the show. There are those who lurk in the shadows to try to pull the strings of the populace and have their own means and goals as well. So that sort of thing overall. Not everything is as it seems on the surface type of show. However, there is one blaring issue about this show. In the midst of the discourse of ethics and morals, the tense and emotional psychological states of characters, and seeing the trials, tribulations, and traumas of the characters that end up being a foundation for how they play a role in the story, we have Tamaki. Tamaki is a 17-year-old girl who is a third-generation Fire Force soldier. I mentioned generations before briefly, but I think now would be a good time for a short overview to fully explain the issue with Tamaki. So, first-generation types turn into infernals. It sucks, but they usually sit there in agonizing pain on fire until someone puts them to rest, often setting more fires along the way as well. Unless you turn into a demon, then you're setting fires and trying to kill people as well. Second generation types are those who can manipulate fire but cannot conjure them on their own. For example, one of the characters in the show uses the heat from gunfire and is able to manipulate the trajectory and speed of the bullets. Another character is able to animate and control fire like she's pushing and pulling it around, but she does not conjure the fire herself. Third generation types are those who can conjure their own fire and manipulate it. The main character can conjure fire from his feet. This allows him to fly around, have crazy speed, and do all sorts of attacks. Tamaki is a third generation. Remember that, okay? So how is it that Tamaki is the center of the fan service issue of the story? It's because they made it a genuine character trait. Let me explain. She describes it as the lecherous curse. No matter the scenario, and I mean it, in some way or fashion, Tamaki is always put in the most suspect position. It's to the point that she's depressed about it and other characters comment on it. It is used as a device in the show to the extent that there's a whole character they dedicated an episode to who tries to watch Korn and indulge in as much debauchery as possible as training to fight her, and he fails every time. So obviously, since this is fan service, the initial role is always going to be slightly annoying. Shows that rely on fan service, in my opinion, don't know how to carry an audience. It's like how some action films put in more explosions and fight scenes because they just don't know what else to do with the plot. Unfortunately, Tamaki is the sole fan service of the show. Since they have made this a character trait, it overshadows any character development that she has. I do want to emphasize that this show, in my opinion, is absolutely great at conveying psychological and emotional situations people come across that may not be conventional to the media. For example, there is a kid who ends up getting so traumatized that he became psychologically unstable. What this results is him crashing out because of the constant pressure to perform. The only one able to calm him down is a sadistic man who openly enjoys bullying and abusing anyone who seems weak, especially children. That is his entire job, to beat up children. However, it's almost like a trolley problem. The most stable condition for the kid in the end is to enjoy being weak and beaten up by an adult man paid to beat him up. As you can tell, this show doesn't shy away from hard topics. So viewer discretion is advised, I guess. But it just doesn't work for Tamaki. Not for a lack of effort, I guess. In some episodes, they had her really want to make more of an effort and try to contribute. They even had her train in a way that I thought was a great character development moment. But they ruined that too with the Lecher's Curse. Every single time Tamaki has a moment to be a developing character, it is undermined by the curse. It is presented as a joke. It is treated as awkward. I feel like I understand where the show is trying to go with it. Maybe it's a form of commentary of the over-sexualization of young girls in the media. But it doesn't help that she wears a bikini everywhere and that her third generation ability is akin to a cat. That's right. She runs on all fours, ass up, with cat ears and all. I think the real issue that I'm having is exhaustion. It's not a tig-bitty adult woman who on occasion has one slip out. It's straight up her Gucci is out and everyone is staring at it, or a guy's hand magically is touching her boob without him even knowing, or she's completely naked in front of people who they're fighting. They literally went to fight a demon and she managed to lose all of her clothes. Yet the city is on fire and people are dying, so you expect me to take her prayer seriously as well. It's just the way that she is presented at all times that makes me feel like I can't take her seriously, even though I want to. I am familiar with fan service. Hell, I've watched Game of Thrones. This is less about tone down the debauchery, which is fair. I stand by what I said earlier. If you include sexualized content, make it have a role in my full opinion. But for Tamaki's sake, it's absolutely a curse for her and the viewers. It's far too disruptive. She was even seriously bullied because of it. She had a whole backstory. The girl is in pain. Release her from this curse already, or at least make her 18. Remember, she's 17. I looked it up to make sure. I still love the show as well. She hasn't ruined the show for me. In fact, I'm still rooting for her. I hope she gets some justice. I'm not here to invalidate the character development she's had. She's played some important roles in the show, but if we could just stop letting her be the sexualized comic relief at the worst moments, that'd take this show from an 8 to a 9 for me. It's not a 10 until I see what the ending is. I really do love Fire Force. It's such a cool concept overall, especially the powers. There's a guy who can summon ice instead of fire, like the absence of heat creating ice out of the fire or something like that. There's a guy who has wind power. It's just so creative. And the plot, characters, and mysteries are all in my interests. I'd recommend watching it. Tamaki really isn't so bad that it ruins the show, but she's just so exhausting. Hashtag justice for Tamaki. All right. Cook up your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe. What are your thoughts? Have you watched the show? Do you watch anime? Did you come here and you were like, I don't really know what's going on. I just wanted to see what the problem was. Do you agree? With all that being said, okay, bye.